Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here. I'm returning to you this almost afternoon time, late morning, for a best and worst songs of September 2024 video. But it is premiering tomorrow around noon or so definitely tune into this premiere video. But other than that, we're going to talk about the best section first, which is from 23 to 1, and I'll let you know which songs were at the top tier list, which is 23, and the ones that made it at the number one song of the month. So let's dive into this special video, and the worst section will be the next thing I talk about at the end of the video. So other than that, hopefully you enjoyed this best and worst songs of September 2024 video. So number 23 is Smashed Into Pieces with Wildfire. I actually still have to review this track, or I don't know if I want to be honest, but I did hear it, and I did enjoy it. It's pretty good in its own way. I mean, there's some moments where I think the lead singer sounds alright in this track, but execution-wise, I think this track's fine. It's a good track. So, number 23 was Smash Into Pieces Wildfire. This is their first single since the Ghost Code album that came out earlier this year, which actually wasn't a terrible record. Keep in mind, it's had some songs that were a little on the fence with me, but I think some tracks were pretty strong. So, who knows, it might be on a good spot of my decent to good albums of 2024 video, because that's the list Ghost Code's going to be on for Smash Into Pieces, his new record. Number 22 is Atreyu with Mary Jane's Last Dance, Tom Petty cover. I'm starting to get used to this track. It's pretty good. Not one of the best, but they had to make it at the top tier spot on this list. The very top of the list, which is in the 20 sections. But overall, I think Brandon's vocals sound pretty alright in this, and just the execution of the acoustic guitar work and all that. This is a better version than the Tom Petty version, and I'm sorry about the background noise, I meant to say. My nephew is throwing a fit, so yeah, what do you expect? He does it a lot, so other than that, number 22 is Mary Jane's Last Dance, Tom Petty cover. Number 21 is Fever 333 with Nosebleeds. I think Jason Allen Butler sounded good in this track. Execution-wise, I think there were some moments where I liked it, and moments where I had my critiques about it. But execution-wise, like I said, it's a strong track in its own way. So, number 21 is Fever 333 with Nosebleeds. Definitely recommend this track. Number 20 is Memphis Mayfire with Infection. Now, I didn't think I'd like this track too much, but it made it in the top 20 of this list. So, I think, I'm so sorry about the background noise. He's really throwing a fit. But overall, I think with how, what's his name, Matty Mullins sung this track, and did some rapping in this track, it wasn't bad, but this is the third single they dropped for this release, or soon to be another album coming out soon, probably in 2025, if at best, because it's getting close to the final quarter of 2024, which is in a few days. So, in a day or so, actually, because October 1st is the start of the first quarter. The fourth quarter, I meant to say. Why did I say first quarter? Sorry about that. I'm getting sidetracked by the background noise, so please forgive me on that. But other than that, Memphis Mayfire Infection, strong track, recommend this song. Pretty good, but the rapping thing was a little odd. Number 19 is Marilyn Manson with Sacrilegious. I didn't think this was one of the best songs he dropped, but it was pretty strong for how it sounded. I did give it a 5 out of 5 when I reviewed it, because it's not that bad. So, it's just one of those songs that's mainstream a bit, and it's going to be on their new upcoming record on November 22nd. His new upcoming record. So, I forgot the album's name. One Assassination Under God, Chapter 1, I think is what the track is going to be. And sorry about the background noise, he's really throwing a fit right now. But other than that, Sacrilegious is at my number 19. It's a strong track. Execution-wise, it did pretty well. And Marilyn Manson, I can separate the art from the artist with Marilyn Manson, of course. I mean, there's things that are going on about him that I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm just gonna enjoy the music that he drops, because mostly it's been pretty strong. Number 18 is The Plot and You Pretend. Now, this one, Landon Towers' vocals sounded alright, but, I don't know, this one wasn't one of my favorite Plot and You tracks. It was good, but it wasn't the best. Like, Been Here Before was the best one that I listened to back in August. And it had to make it at a lower spot on the list because it was that strong of a track. But overall, I think Plot and You Pretend is a strong track, and it's going to be on the Volume 3 release November 8th. So, can't wait to listen to that. There's only one song left to listen to, so it's not really much left. But other than that, number 18 is The Plot and You with Pretend. Number 17 is Beyond Unbroken with Oceans. Now, I did enjoy this track that came out earlier this month. I really dug how Monty Money's vocals were sounding, and just with his vocals and some of the production in it was pretty solid. And this was a really nice track too, by the way. Keep in mind. So this I did give a 5 out of 5, I believe. But overall, number 17 is Beyond Unbroken with Oceans. Number 16 is Stained with Better Days featuring Dorothy. I did dig this track for the featured artist version. The original version is really good. Even the Dorothy sounded really good in this track for how her vocals sounded. And Aaron Lewis sounded good with his vocals too in this track. Even with the original version too. So it's off the deluxe edition of Confessions of the Fallen, and it is a strong track for sure. So yeah, number 16 is Stained with Better Days featuring Dorothy. I know it's a song that came out months ago, but I only included it on this list because this is the first time I heard it. And I just had to only do a review for that song. I didn't want to review the deluxe edition for Confessions of the Fallen because I knew I already listened to it, most of it last year. So I got to hear it a year early, unfortunately. And then someone decided to leak it, so I was like, okay. But other than that, number 15 is Whitechapel with the Visceral Death. Pretty good screaming vocals in this track. And I really enjoyed how Whitechapel tries to expand with their sound and tries to go with a more gritty metalcore, deathcore sound. And it sounds really good. So that was my number 15. I really liked the screaming vocals in this track, and it executed pretty well. It had to be at my number 15 because there's also better tracks I listened to this month. I mean, it wasn't great, but it was still strong. It was a strong track. Number 14 is Ginger with Rogue. I like Tatiana's screaming vocals in this track, and just execution-wise, this track did very well with its overall execution. So, really dug how this track executed, and it was really heavy too. So, definitely worth checking out for sure. So, number 13 is Spiritbox with Soft Spine. I really like the vocals in this track from Courtney. Yeah, I was trying to remember her name. Courtney LaPlante. Um, her vocals were really good with her screaming vocals. This was one of their heaviest tracks. And this was as good as Cellar Door. Cellar Door was pretty strong too. It was one of the heaviest ones. I think it was one of the best tracks I listened to last year off their Fear of Fear record, which was only like a 6-track EP, but it was strong. One of their best. But overall, Soft Spine was a great track. It closes out with not even a fade out, it just stops at the end of the track, and it does very well. So that's my number 13 pick. As I Lay Dying, We Are the Dead, featuring Alex Terrible and Tom Barber, is my number 12, and it is a great song. I think Tim's vocals sound really amazing in this track with his screaming vocals. Alex Terrible did really good in this track too. Even though he supports Ronnie Radke, I'm like, why? I'm like, yeah, there's some hypocrisy behind that, but that's just my opinion. But overall, the screaming vocals were great in this track, and I think As I Lay Dying, his new album is going to sound really good, Through Storms Ahead, dropping November 15th, that I will be reviewing that day. There's going to be a couple albums coming out that day that I'm interested in, like the Linkin Park record, Poppy's new album, and As I Lay Dying, and I think there's another one, but I can't remember. Overall, it still was a strong track, so it was my number 12 pick for As I Lay Dying, We Are the Dead, featuring Alex Terrible and Tom Barber. Number 11 is August Burns Red with Exhumed. This was a pretty strong track too. I really dug this one, and just how Jake Lurs is screaming it from time to time. His scream vocals are great in this track. This was one of their heaviest songs for this month. And it had to be at the number 11 spot because I found there to be other tracks that I really enjoyed throughout the month. But overall, it was still a strong track. That was my number 11 pick, August Burns Red, Exhumed. Number 10 is Underoath with Teeth. Now, surprising enough, you didn't think I'd put it on this list, but this song did grow on me after a while. I actually dig it. With the production, it's a little quirky, but it still sounds really good. It's different of Underoath with the electronic and EDM production. The electronic production for this track is fine, and it sounds good for what it sounds like, and crashing drums at the breakdown of the end of the chorus when it says lying through your teeth and goes do 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 thing. It sounds really good. So I really dig this track. So that's my number 10, Underoath with Teeth. Number 9 is Fever 333 again with Murderer. This was probably their heaviest track, and Jason Allen Butler's vocals sounded really strong in this. And I really dig this track for how it sounds overall. Production and execution wise, it did very well. And this was a pretty progressive track. I mean, there were some moments where I didn't know if I felt for it, but other than that, it still was a good track. So that's my number 9 pick. Number 8 is Linkin Park with Heavy as the Crown. Now, this one did really grow on me after a while. It's a pretty strong track. Linkin Park's sounding pretty good for their new sound. I know there's a lot of controversy behind them, which I was gonna make a video about that, but that's gonna be at a later date. Other than that, I think Linkin Park's heading is in the step in the right direction with this new era, in my opinion. I know there's gonna be some other people that don't really like their new sound and it doesn't sound like the same Linkin Park. I personally dig it, but hey, to each his own, I guess. But other than that, Heavy as a Crown took a little bit of time to grow on me, and Emily's vocals in this track are pretty good when she sings the chorus. The scream parts is something I know she's going to have to work on, but it still sounded good. So overall, number 8 is Linkin Park with Heavy as a Crown. Number 7 is The Weeknd with Dancing in the Flames. Now, I really enjoyed this track when it came out on September 13th this month. It was really good. And overall, I think The Weeknd sounded good vocally in this track. It was a lot of electronic work and EDM stuff, but the production was really strong in this track. And it had to be in my top 10 for sure, because it was a very good track. So, can't wait to see how Hurry Up Tomorrow is going to sound. I know that he dropped a new single, Timeless, but that was mid. It's not even on this list or the worst list. It's just mid. It's not one of the best, but it's not one of the worst. That came out at the end of this month. Because 2 weeks after he dropped Dancing in the Flames, he drops Timeless on the 27th. So, just recently. Other than that, number 7 is The Weeknd with Dancing in the Flames. Number 6 is All Time Low and I Prevail with Hate This Song. Really good track. I wish it would have been in the top 5, but I found there to be other tracks that I really enjoyed to be in the top 5. But at least made it in the top 6 of this list. I really like Alex Gaskar's vocals in this track, and the lyrics are pretty intense for sure, and can be considered foul language in a way, and some people may like it, some people may not, but I think this was their best track this month. One of the best songs I listened to this month, but overall, it had to be at my number 6 because I found there to be other tracks that I really enjoyed this month. So, number 6 was All Time Low and I Prevail with Hate This Song. I really enjoyed Brian's vocals in the second verse, and Eric's sounding really good in the screaming part of the track. So it changes the tempo at the bridge part. That sounds really good. And then it goes back to the same tempo of the original song going into the chorus. So this song really experimented in a good way. Pop punk, or punk rock meets metalcore in a way. So pretty good combination, and it worked. Number 5 is Hot Milk with Where Does the Light Get In? Really good track that I enjoyed this month. Didn't think I'd like this song. I'm still new to this band, so I don't know the vocalist's name. I think I looked it up earlier this month, but I kind of forgot. But other than that, Hot Milk sounded really good with this new song, and it had to be in my top 5 because it's a song I come back to quite a lot because it's really enjoyable and really catchy. And the backing vocalist that plays the guitar or bass, he sounds really good, and his screaming vocals were pretty strong. So this was a really good song, and her vocals sounded really amazing in this track. So number 5 was Hot Milk, Where Does the Light Get In? Number 4 is Chrissy Costanzo with I Tried to Act Your Age. Really good track. Very melodic, but still strong for how it sounds. And I really enjoyed her vocals in this. And this had to be in my top 5 of this month. Like the last single, If Looks Could Kill, was a really good one too. She's been dropping some pretty strong tracks. Sure, 7 Minutes in Hell wasn't one of the best of July, but it still was good. But these last 2 singles, like If Looks Could Kill and this one, Tried to Act Your Age, are probably one of the best tracks she's released. And keep in mind, this is going to be on her 7 EP dropping October 9th, so in another week or so, week and a half. But other than that, That was my number 4 pick with Chrissy Costanzo with I Tried to Act Your Age. Number 3 is The Offspring with Come to Brazil. Really good song. Definitely rocks for sure. It's probably one of their best tracks of pretty much most of the singles they've dropped. Make It Alright wasn't my favorite, but it's kind of cringy. Not one of the best songs they dropped in June this year. But I think Light It Up was a good one too. But this one was my favorite. Come to Brazil was pretty catchy. A lot of good punk rock vibes to this, and Dexter Holland sounded pretty good in this track. At least they did us right by giving us a good pop punk rock song that we can jam out to and headbang to. Because this track definitely was amazing. Pretty progressive with the punk rock stuff. So the drum work is amazing, and the chanting vocals Come to Brazil sounded really good. So I really enjoyed it. Number 2 is Poppy with They're All Around Us. Now I wish this could have been my number 1, but I think you kind of know what my number 1's going to be. This was still one of the best tracks. It was a runner-up, of course, for Best Song of September 2024. But I still think there was another song that really caught my attention a lot more. But overall, Poppy did drop a great song. So it had to be the runner-up for this month. And I think her vocals sounded really good, and her screaming vocals were amazing too. It's going to be on her new record, Negative Spaces, dropping November 15th, which I can't wait to listen to that. Another month and a half from now. But other than that, good track, and recommend this song. Number 1, drum roll please. Linkin Park with The Emptiness Machine. This was a really good song. I really enjoyed this track. I come back to this quite a lot. Mike's vocals sounded really good. And I forgot to mention in Heavy as the Crown, he did rapping vocals in that track. That sounded really strong. But with this one, he did regular clean vocals that sounded really good. And execution-wise, this track worked for how it sounded. Emily's vocals were amazing in this song, and I know she's trying to sound like Chester Bennington in a way, but they're just trying to find their own sound and new style, and trying to sound like Linkin Park again. The older stuff, like From Minutes to Midnight to Hunting Party with this new record From Zero, dropping November 15th. But overall, I think Linkin Park, The Emptiness Machine was the best song of the month, and a very catchy one too. It's grown on me quite a lot. So now we get to the worst section. Number 2 is Skillet with All That Matters. I know this is supposed to be a positive track about my faith, my family, but I just found it to be cringy with how it sounded. I don't know, Skillet plays it too safe with their music. This is not one of the worst songs of the month, but it is a disappointing one. The worst song of the month is going to be my number 1, which I think you know what it's going to be. That I heard a teaser for that I hated. So, number 2 was Skillet with All That Matters. I don't really have a lot to say with this anymore, because I know there were some people that didn't really like what I had to say in that review I made a few weeks ago on their new track, All That Matters. But hey, to each his own. If you like it, more power to you. Me, I just find it to be cringy Christian rock music that I can't really get into anymore. Skillet plays it too safe now, and not in a good way. I mean, there's some tracks that they do good on. This one, I mean, it might grow on me, but I don't know. I didn't really come back to this track quite a lot. It's just something I find to be cringy. Number 1 is Sick Puppies with Going Places. One of the worst songs of the month, for sure. With the Tell My Boss Go Jump in a Lake. Tell my ex get the fuck out of my place. Tell that landlord no, he ain't getting paid because I'm going places today. I'm like, Brian, why the fuck did you make a track like this? That's the lead singer's name, Brian. from Sick Puppies, because they had to get a new lead singer from their last record, Fury, because Shimon left the band, and for certain reasons, I don't know why. I guess he didn't like the direction they were going in. But I didn't hate Fury, but their last single was better than this piece of garbage. Like, this was cringe all around. I couldn't stand this track. I mean, I saw the music video and I was like, this is cringe. Like, I think they can do a lot better if they try a lot harder. Like, with There Goes the Neighborhood, they did good with that track. This song can go fuck itself and just be buried in a hole for sure and never see the light of day again, because it is cringe and I just didn't like it for sure. The lyrics were too juvenile and just sounded cringy. They didn't make great lyrics for this track, I can tell you that, and how it sounded was, the final product was bad. I mean, the verses were but when you get to the chorus, it sounds crap. It's just crap all around. So that was my number one, Sick Puppies Going Places. I hope you enjoyed this best and worst songs of September 2024 video. I know it's a long video, but I tried to make it as good as possible, because I gotta get this out by, sorry about the background vocals. But overall, I think Sick Puppies Going Places, like I said, was the worst song of the month. And the best song of the month was Linkin Park, The Emptiness Machine. But with how most of these tracks sounded, I think I enjoyed a lot more songs than I did the worst tracks. There were only 2 bad songs this month. But overall, I hope you enjoyed this best and worst songs of September 2024 video. I'll have more videos coming out during this week. But until then, thanks for watching.